Right now on Inside Texoma, we are already talking about the Hotter Than Hell 100. It's the 30th anniversary, and it's just around the corner, August 27th. Joining me now is Randy Canavell. He is the media coordinator. And Randy, so much to talk about this Sunday morning. Can you kind of give us a sneak peek of what we're going to hear?
Lots to talk about, especially with the 109-degree weather.
Sure.
Everything from starting smart, making sure that you start the day off right that morning, but also looking at training and nutrition, ride etiquette, and how to check your bike, all the good stuff that riders need to know to get prepared the day of. And then also volunteerism and host homes, and also how to sign up and what's available for both the rider and the non-rider at this year's 30th anniversary. So let's talk about it.
It all starts right now on Inside Texoma. Good morning, Texoma. I'm Ashley Fitzwater. This morning we are taking an inside look at the 30th anniversary of Hotter Than Hell 100. It's a race that truly lives up to its name here in Wichita Falls. And joining me now is Randy Canavell. He is the media coordinator for Hotter Than Hell 100, and we appreciate you being here today.
Thank you, Ashley. Thank you for
We're so excited. This is such a tradition here in the Falls, and this year even bigger and better. Can you tell us why?
30th anniversary of Hotter Than Hell, so we're looking for lots of festivities this year. We're looking to live up to the name Hotter Than Hell 100 since it's, 100 plus degrees already by noon.
Yes.
So it's going to be hot this year, and we're looking forward to it. Going to have a lot of events and things to do for both the riders and the non-riders to do. So
just kind of giving us a little bit of a history in case there is anyone that's new to town and maybe they're not quite sure what is Hotter Than Hell 100. Can you just kind of give us a quick background on what it is?
It's basically torture on a bike for 4 or 5 hours. It's actually, it began back in the early 80s, about 1982, and Wichita Falls was celebrating its centennial, and so they figured, what can we do that in a physical activity sense to celebrate that? And at first it was going to be a 100-hour rocking chair event. And they decided, no, we've got to find something else. So why don't they decided, well, let's ride bikes for 100 miles in 100-degree weather. So that's how Hotter Than Hell's birth kind of came to pass. And now it's one of the largest bike rides in the world. And when I say world, we get people from all over the country, all over the world, come to ride at Hotter Than Hell 100. So it's really lived up to its name, and it puts Wichita Falls on the map. So.
That's so true. And if you've been here any time during that, you can see the town is packed. You see those bike racks. You see the bikers on the side of the road. It's a huge event for Wichita Falls.
In one weekend, we'll get about, last year we had a little over 14,000 people in this town. That's just the riders. You figure they bring their families, their friends, so you could probably almost add a few more thousand to that number, and they're here for one weekend, and so Wichita Falls sees quite a bit of economic development.
Absolutely. When it comes to those hotels, they're all booked. The restaurants are full, which is always a good thing.
It's always good.
Of course, for Wichita Falls. Kind of going back to the bike ride, when is the big day, and just kind of starting at the beginning, I know we're going to have the start time and all of that to talk about.
Hotter Than Hell will be Saturday, August 27th, but the festivities actually start that Thursday before, which I believe would be August 25th. And then the 26th, we have the criterium racing, which is the lap cycling around MPEC facility. We'll also have the consumer show. There will be a Science of Cycling symposium this year. We did it last year with a lot of success, and so we're bringing it back. So there will be lots to do that weekend. And then we also have off-road activities on Sunday, August 28th as well.
What's new, or what's being done this year since it is the 30th? What is the push and the drive that's being done?
With it being the 30th anniversary, we're pushing, we've tried to get more entertainment, live bands, live music. We're going to have more food vendors. Finish Line Village, which is basically it's like a fairground, so to speak, for all the riders and the non-riders. We're increasing that and making it bigger and just trying, because there's a lot of people that come to Hotter Than Hell 100, but they don't ride.
Sure.
And there's volunteers that come out, and once they're done volunteering, they're like, okay, what do I do now? So we're trying to put a lot of stuff out there that they can do and enjoy and kind of live vicariously through the riders if they don't ride. So stuff to do.
And I think that's important to mention, because just because it is a bike race, there's so much to do, and you know, people to cheer on out there. You don't have to just be a rider to come enjoy it.
Well, so, you know, for those that come out of town, They may have a family member that is riding the 100-mile or 100K, and that's 3 or 4 hours. What are you going to do?
Sure.
So that's why we are, like I said, more entertainment, more food. So just plenty of things to do that weekend of Hotter Hill 100. And maybe if you're thinking about cycling, some people I've talked to started their cycling career by just coming out to Hotter Hill and watching and taking part of it. And they're like, well, I actually want to do it now. So it's, it's a win-win for everybody, I think, that comes out.
Well, Randy, we appreciate it. We're actually going to break down exactly the different things you can sign up for, the different races. We're going to talk about that, and even some training, because now's the time, to get ready for that.
You got to get ready now. So.
Absolutely. We're going to talk about that all after the break. Stay with us right here for more Inside Texoma. Welcome back to Inside Texoma. We are breaking down the Hotter Hill 100. This is the 30th year, so a lot going into the big race this year. And, we just kind of wanted to break down. There's different levels to this that you can get involved in that we were talking about. Everything from professional to just riders, even racers, you were telling me.
Racers,
so
correct.
Can you break all that down for us?
Hotter Hill traditionally has been, it's a race for those that are the professional riders, and we call them Pro, 1, 2, whatever your category is. And then we have also just the riders, who are just the weekend riders, the enthusiasts like myself that just like to go out and ride and have a good time. So we break those two categories down. With the ride section, which is probably the biggest chunk of Hotter Hill, we have different routes for those. If you're wanting to do a short ride with your family, we have the 10K route, which is about 6 miles. And then from then on, it goes 25 miles, 50 miles, 100K, which is 63 miles.
Wow.
And then of course, the 100 miles. So there's lots to choose from as far as how much you want to torture yourself.
And speaking of that, this is something, if you're going to take part in, one of those 100 miles or 63, you're going to want to be smart about this and really train, which is why you have a Start Smart program, basically, that you're going to talk about.
We started this Start Smart program last year in order to get riders educated, not only before the race, but that morning, during, and after the race. And so we look at different variables. Training is one, like you mentioned. Making sure that you're going out and having one long ride, a week. And then during the week, as most of us work, who are fitness enthusiasts, getting shorter rides in, maybe going faster or going up a hill. So making sure you're training throughout the week. And then also making sure you're eating right, carbohydrates, proteins, and also hydration, which you will need now and also that morning of. So.
Which goes back to the big spaghetti dinner. I know that's something that's really pushed near the Hotter Hill.
We've had the spaghetti dinner for quite a while. This year it'll be at the K. Yeager Coliseum, where the ice rink's at. So you'll be able to eat spaghetti, and hopefully if you eat enough, it'll keep you warm because it gets quite cold in there. But it's nice to have it in there. We have a lot of room, and that's a good way to get some carbohydrates in before the ride.
What are some ways? It is so hot outside,
it is.
And I know you have to condition your body, to kind of be prepared for that.
Correct.
But I understand that spinning is actually a big thing, to encourage people to, to train, right?
Right. I work at MSU, and we have spin classes that we offer daily. And spinning is a good way to get ready for Hotter Hill because you're indoors, so you're not bothered by the heat too much, but you do sweat. And also you can go faster, you can go harder, so it gets your muscles prepared for the event because cycling has a lot of leg work in it, so it's a good way to condition the legs for that. But you have to respect the heat, though, at the same time. You still have to go outside and ride. You can't just stay indoors and then expect to do well that morning out. You still have to go outside.
That's a good point.
Right.
How soon do people really need to start training? Is it different for each person? I mean, is now a good time to do this?
It depends on your level of experience. If you're just starting out, I personally recommend doing a shorter route, maybe 25, 50, 100K. And train now, start today. Like after we get done here, people should
go outside and
start training. Definitely start training now, and but listen to your body. If you're going out and riding on a weekend and 50 miles is killing you, you probably want to maybe not do that this year at Hotter Hill. You have years ahead to do whatever you want. Take it a step at a time. Listen to your body, and it has to be enjoyable. If you're out there cramping and having a hard time, that's not having fun.
No.
So listen to your body.
And if nothing else, like you said, come out there and watch and get motivated to do this.
The criterium racing on Friday and Sunday that we have, that's fun because you basically have cyclists that are just lapping around the MPEC, and it's basically live cycling. You can see people just sit on the curbs or on the grass and just hang out. So it's fun.
Are there different things along the routes to kind of help people out as far as water, medics?
Yeah,
What's done to
sure.
really protect the bikers out there?
That's one thing about Hot Hill that we get a lot of compliments about is the volunteerism. And with volunteerism, you get all the rest stops. There's one every 10 miles on any route.
Wow.
And so there's plenty of food. There's plenty of Gatorade, water, pickle juice. We have medical doctors and medical personnel that man those stations as well. So if something happens to you along the ride, you can rest assured that somebody will be there to take care of you, and it's nothing you have to panic or worry about. We have a good medical team that's led under Dr. Keith Williamson, who's the medical director at MSU, and so he takes care of all the riders and makes sure that everybody has a good time and stays safe.
What about children? If you're going to have kids out there, any tips for them to make sure they're not getting overheated or overworked? I mean, because you've seen this a lot. You've been out there. You've seen the kids take part in this. What's the best way to take your family and have a good time while keeping everyone safe?
Just like with adults, making sure that children hydrate often, because they don't sweat as efficiently as you and I who are adults. So keeping them hydrated, and not just during the event, but before the event. So days leading up, that morning of, making sure they're hydrated. Also with children, bike handling skills can be an issue because they're not as steady as adults who have been riding. So that's when we strongly recommend they do the 10K route, the 6 mile, because that's really made for families. The other training or the other rides, the other mileages are mainly for those that have been riding for a while. So definitely want to have them do the 10K routes, the shorter route.
And kind of talking about signing up and really getting involved, how do you go about that? Is that something that's the morning of? Do they need to start registering now?
You can do the morning of. You're welcome to do that. We have plenty of people that will be manning our late registration line. But if you want to sign up now, it's a little bit cheaper. It's usually about $5 cheaper. And you can go to hh100.org, and you can sign up there. And that website has also everything that you and I will be discussing today. Everything's on that website.
What's kind of the price range? I mean, I know it's probably different for each thing, maybe each category, I'm not sure.
Racers is a little bit more expensive because you have to have a license and you have to have all your fees because it's kind of a professional cycling event, so there's more fees. But just for the riders, it's about $25 to $30. If you're doing the family, there's a family discount, and that's usually about, we give a cheaper route or price if you sign up online. So, but all that information is on hh100.org.
And what are the funds kind of go back into? For the Hotter and Hell, does they go back into the community because the community benefits from this so much, which is such a great thing?
Most of the money you'll see that is spent by the cyclists goes back in Wichita Falls. The dollar actually turns 7 times before it leaves Wichita Falls. But the money that the racers and the riders pay, that entry fee, is basically to make sure that all the logistics are taken care of, those wonderful shirts that come in your packet, and all the little neat things that come in there. We get a good discount with some of these vendors because it is Hotter and Hell, and so they can give us things at a cheaper discount. So basically, it really goes back to you as a cyclist. You get the money back in water bottles, T-shirts, neat little cycling items.
All the goodies that you get whenever you sign up.
All the goodies, so you get it back.
Absolutely. Right. Well, I love that. And Randy, we have so much more to talk about. We need to take another quick break, but stay with us. We'll be right back. Welcome back to Inside Texoma. Once again, I'm joined here by Randy Canavell. He is with the Hotter and Hell Media Coordinator, and we appreciate you sharing so much about Hotter and Hell and giving us an inside look to what you can expect come this August. And one of the things we're going to talk about now is just getting your bike ready, and that's important. We talked about getting yourself ready, but your bike's also a key part too.
You definitely don't want to wait till that morning of to look at your bike and see if it's ready. Start doing that now. There's 2 bike shops here in town that have qualified mechanics, and they can do everything from tuning up your bike to making sure the brakes work, which is a good thing, and making sure you don't have any flats, They can clean your bike for you, degrease it, all that good stuff to make your bike look shiny and new that morning of. So, and it doesn't matter if you have an old bike or a new bike, they can work on anything.
And if they're interested in those locations, is that something you just find in the phone book, or
sure,
how do they go
there's
about
two.
that?
There's Texoma Cycling Center, which is located over there downtown, and it's very close to the start line that morning. And then there's also the bike stop, and they're located on the southwest part of town over there by Albertsons Supermarket. And both those gentlemen I've worked with, and they're both really great mechanics and can help you out, not just with your bike, but anything else you need for cycling. They're both experienced riders and certified, so they can definitely help riders out.
I've been doing this a long time, so they know what to expect
They
when
know
you
it.
come
They
in
know
there
exactly,
too, I'm sure.
Exactly.
And just kind of talking about safety, riding, whenever you are riding, safety, and also, I know you wanted to touch on the start line as well, making sure you're with your group. So, but first, just kind of start with riding safety.
Safety-wise, always make sure that you're wearing your helmet. You want to wear your helmet. There's going to be
very important.
14,000 other people out there with you, so if an accident does happen, your helmet's going to be your #1 lifesaver. It really does show that it saves people from injuries and trauma, so have your helmet. The next thing also is when you sign up for a specific ride group, let's say you plan on signing up for the 100-mile slow riders. So that means it might take you probably 4+ hours to finish Hot Hill. Stay in that group. Don't try to go and mix in with the racers or the 100-mile fast group. Stay with your group. There's a reason why we started stratifying the ride, because people were just hurting themselves. And maybe you're not hurting yourself at the beginning, but let's say you're a slow rider and you try to mix in with the fast riders. Well, what happens is you burn out so quick, and you're not even halfway done with the ride. So you basically have just hurt yourself doing that. So stay with your group. There's a reason why we have those stratified groups. And then making sure that you know how to pass riders. You pass on their left side, and you always shout or mention your intent to pass to the rider in front of you. Pay attention, look around you, use those peripheral visions just like you do if you were driving out on the road. It's the same rules for cyclists. Biggest thing is just pay attention, though.
Is that something, just being a new rider and hearing 14,000 other people are going to be out there, that would be a concern of mine, like crashing into someone or, just a herd of people tumbling or something. But that's not generally a huge problem,
It's not a huge problem because a lot of cyclists, they get smart. Right about now they start realizing, oh, I need to go out on a group ride.
Sure.
Which you need to ride with other cyclists while you're training. Don't just go out by yourself. Ride with other riders because it teaches you, some good bike handling skills, keeping your line, learning how to pass riders safely, knowing your own pace, knowing what your body can handle, so you can adjust, that morning of, especially with the heat. So it's always good to ride with a group. Not to mention, if something happens, you have usually 6 other people with you that can help you out. So it's a benefit to you.
Yeah, and safety on the road too,
Exactly,
because you see them a lot on, on the side of the road, training for this. So
always try to get in with a group ride, and the 2 bikes. Places we had mentioned earlier, they have group rides that are led by very experienced cyclists.
Oh, okay.
So if you're a novice, intermediate, advanced, they have group rides. Both shops do, and I invite people to really take part in those group rides.
That's a good advice, because what if you don't know anyone else, maybe who's going to be riding, or you're just getting involved?
Sure,
so
absolutely.
Way to get out there and really get involved. Anything else you can kind of share about, just making sure you're safe? Is this all applied to the family ride as well, or is it a little more relaxed with more space in between since it's not a competitive nature?
Good safety is common sense basically, and we know that. But with 14,000 other cyclists out there, you can get overwhelmed. So the biggest thing I would tell people is, like I said earlier, sign up for the ride, the route that you know you can accomplish. Make sure you've been riding with groups. If you're a family and have kids, I would highly, highly suggest that you stay with the lower mileage routes, because they're designed. That's why we have a 6-mile route. It's made just for kids and families. Kids can ride and do whatever they want. And then also, like I said earlier, training, eating right, getting those long rides in, and making sure that you stay hydrated. And then that morning of also, making sure you stay within your stratified race groups.
Absolutely, it's very important. And there's different start times too, correct? To really make sure, give them a chance to get ahead, right? So you're not pushing everyone through at the exact same time.
We try to start everything on a delay now. That's the purpose of the ride corral, as we call it, or stratified group. The racers start earlier because, they're on a time limit to beat, and so they usually start about 15 minutes before the actual ride starts. The rides always started at 7:05, The racers usually start about 6:45 so that we can clear them out and then get the riders ready. With the heat this year, there's some talk that we're considering starting it early, specifically the racers, starting them earlier, but hasn't been confirmed yet, but we're definitely considering it because it's so hot.
Sure.
You know, and this morning it was, 90 degrees almost at 10 o'clock a.m. That's pretty hot already.
Yeah.
So you have
it's not cooling off at night.
We don't cool off at night, and that's the problem. So we're considering options and it's really just for the safety of the riders.
Absolutely.
You know, we're not trying to cheat people out of a ride or a race. We're just trying to look after you.
Now, would that apply just to the racers, or would that apply to the overall start time as well, or is that something that's all being weighed?
It's all being weighed. It could well apply to the riders, but we're weighing it. We're looking. You know, we're recording and looking at the temperatures right now. When we judge temperature and when we need to actually modify race times, we go by the American College of Sports Medicine's hydration and what we call the wet bulb temperature, which factors in humidity. And if that reaches a certain point, we have to adjust the ride. We have to either shorten it, adjust the start time. We have to do something to make sure that riders stay safe and they don't, dehydrate. Because it can be a fatal condition if you dehydrate too much.
Sure, absolutely. Is that something you've ever seen change in the 30 years?
I know that Dr. Keith Williamson, he'll love me for throwing him under the bus for this, but he shortened the route, the 100-mile route. You know, they'll close Hell's Gate, which is like basically the 3/4 marker for the 100 miles. He's closed it early in the past. Does he take a lot of grief for it? Sure, but you have to understand that we're just trying to protect the riders.
Sure.
I mean, it just gets too hot.
And you've heard over and over, there's been, even deaths this year, and with record-breaking temperatures this year, it's dangerous.
Well, I mean, we're hearing of people passing away and having, heat-related illness just at rest. Yeah. But imagine when you exercise, your body's generating, so you really have to take those things into account.
Absolutely. We'll, of course, be in contact with them and bring you the very latest if we hear of any start times changing. So make sure you keep it tuned to News Channel 6, newschannel6now.com for the very latest in that. We need to take another quick break. We'll be right back with more Inside Texoma. Welcome back to Inside Texoma. We are talking about the 30th anniversary of Hotter Than Hell 100, which is just right around the corner, believe it or not, and something that's so key to making this a huge success. Of course, those volunteers that you mentioned earlier, and host families. Can you tell us about them?
Well, volunteerism is the general, it's what makes the ride work. I mean, we have 2,000 volunteers. Wow. That help out every year. And they're people in the community that just love Wichita Falls. They love Hotter Than Hell. They can't ride, but they want to help out. And they get a kick out of that. And we love that because that's what makes it work. Volunteerism can go anything from the rest stops. It can go to packet pickup that morning, late registration, marketing and sales for the merchandise at Hotter Than Hell, logistics, the spaghetti dinner, as you mentioned. So there's a lot of avenues and options for people to volunteer. And then one of those, obviously, is host homes, as you said. Hotels book up real quick, riders need a place to stay, and Wichita Falls really shows its true colors by opening its doors. All these families open their doors for riders, people they've never met. Yeah. They want people to stay in their homes.
It's amazing, and we've interviewed, I know last year we did another Inside Texoma where we actually talked to a lady who's been a host family, years. And become friends with the people who actually come in their home. But there are protections in place, you know, to help you if you invite someone into your home or different things you can do. But if they're interested in doing that and learning more about it, who do they need to contact?
For volunteerism, they can call Darlene, and her number is 631-3484. And she's our volunteer coordinator. For host homes, they're welcome to call our executive director, Mr. Chip Filer, at 322-3223. And they have all the information for volunteerism, or if you want to be a host home, they can definitely help you out.
And such a great thing. I know will not only enjoy having them in your homes, as we've heard from so many other host families,
Correct.
but you just get so much out of it, and
Correct.
it's such a way that they are able to give back to the community, is what they've told us in the past,
Right.
since they're not able to get out there and ride.
Right. The host homes are a great thing because, like I said, the hotels book up quick, and a lot of these host homes, they'll do a barbecue. They'll take the riders out to eat. They'll take care of them as if they were family. You're not obligated to do that.
Sure.
But a lot of host homes do that. They go above and beyond what is required of a host home.
That's very impressive.
So that's why the riders come back.
Absolutely.
That's right.
They enjoy Wichita Falls hospitality.
That's right.
Making a name. Well,
That's
Randy,
right.
thank you so much for
Thank you for having
sharing.
me.
We
Appreciate
appreciate it.
Thank
And
you.
we're going to be keeping in touch, keeping you covered from all angles on Hotter Than Hell 100. We're going to have many upcoming shows, so you want to stay tuned for that. We're going to keep you covered up till the day of the race. We're even going to be there live the day of the race, so you don't want to miss that. You can always check out much more at newschannel6now.com. And we want to say thanks for joining us for Inside Texoma. We'll see you back here next Sunday morning for another look inside Texoma.